Now, Mike, you're you coming out of Team Titan at Keddle Gym, right? Yep. You work over at Nemesis, don't you? So, now they sponsor you a little bit. So, where is your training predominantly done, and who are you training with most of the time?
That's a good question. It depends on a lot of things. It depends on who I'm fighting, what their style is, and what their strengths are. It matters what time I can get off work. If I can get a lot of time off work, I can go to Titan in the day. I train there with Mickey, Bowler, Dyson, Enrique. There's a few that I've probably missed. Train over there in the day. Great sparring and great moving around with like, you know, the royalty of British MMA really. If I can or I can't get time off work, I still come to Keddles obviously. They're my gym from day one. I started my Thai here. And
this is where it all started then?
It's where it all started, yeah. Quite a few years ago. And I train with anybody that's going, because everybody in here, you know, that trains here is great. You know what I mean? All the trainers here are brilliant. I train here at night, and then at Nemesis, I work there. I teach Thai and MMA there, and they very kindly help me out with a bit of sponsorship, and I train with Mick there sometimes on the pads. He's very insightful, very good, quick on the pads, and I'm sure he won't mind me saying, for a man of his age, he can move and he's strong. Everybody in the gym always says he's freakishly strong, and he is. And then you've got Dave Muscat and Raf down there. They're teaching the BJJ. I move around with them quite a lot, and you know, I learn everywhere.
So you got a lot going on. And who's been preparing you for this fight that's up and coming for Fight Scene 6?
Alan and Keddles and Mick predominantly at Titan. Mick's put a lot into me for this fight at Titan. I started preparing for Pete Brown.
Yeah, because you're originally fighting Peter Brown and now you're fighting Darren.
Yeah, I mean, you know, opponents are an opponent, you know what I mean? It's MMA, you still got the same rules, still got the same moves, but obviously you change a few things. I ain't that naive, but yeah, like, I'm just more about preparing me for my whole game and looking into the future for separate fights. Not, oh right, what we're going to do with this one fight. You know, what do I need to improve on all the time? There's always a merry-go-round of improvements. Dyson Robert's worked with me a lot. He does my corners most of the time alongside other people, and he works with me and says, right, this is specifically what we want to need work on. The same as Mick. You know, he watches what I've done. I've only been here since September at Titan. And I also move around a few other gyms. I went down to Jimmy Manua's gym. I've done a bit of sparring with him. He obviously, we used to spar years ago because he was originally out of Keddles. Right. And I also go down to Strood Combat Academy occasionally. Damon Lake, Ricky Campbell, they're both there. Carl Kinslow. Then obviously they've got their trainers down there, Lee and the two Lees. It's you know, I like to move around and get different people's perspective on things, and I also train at Legacy. Jude Samuel trains here, Legacy BJJ, and he is unreal. His BJJ is unbelievable, and his knowledge of MMA, because he works at Bama, is second to none as well. So therefore, he can help prepare MMA fighters, specifically BJJ wise. You know what I mean?
Now, Mike, do you train any up and coming MMA fighters?
Yeah. I mean, we've got some good guys down at Nemesis Thai wise already when I joined there, and they're getting better and better all the time. MMA is quite an infant down there at the moment. At the moment we're more about merging the BJJ with the Thai, right, rather than teaching people MMA. It's hard to teach someone MMA if you don't know the main disciplines involved in MMA. Right. I can't say to someone, oh, well, I'll teach you MMA, because one day...
What is MMA?
Yeah. If I say, like, this is how we throw a jab, if there's a Thai boxer in a class and he's been doing it 10 years, he's going to go joking, you know, and vice versa for the BJJ if you're teaching guard or something. So I've started teaching down there for fun more than anything, because I like teaching, and it gets my head focused more into the game, and it makes you search for answers to problems that you may never have thought about. And yeah, we've had one guy fight MMA. We've got a couple on the show in a couple of weeks' time, and it's just getting better and better down there.
Now, Mike, you've been training MMA for the best part of 5 years. Been working heavily on your BJJ game, but you still engage in boxing and Muay Thai bouts outside of that. So tell us a little bit about what goes on outside your MMA career. You've been doing recently, any fights? Yeah,
I mean, I had a BJJ competition about 4 weeks ago. About 3 weeks ago, I got a bronze in it. I was well happy with that. I went into the competition thinking I don't want to get no less than bronze, and I got bronze. I mean, bit gutted, but you know, it's the first time I've only ever trained in a gi twice.
Really?
And that was obviously, it was a gi competition, so I've done all right, and I want to train in my gi more now. Yeah, as regards of BJ, boxing and Thai boxing.
Yeah.
I still like to engage in it. We're in talks at the moment about maybe having a Thai stroke K1 fight in August. But at the end of the day, it started out as my hobby. I started out when I was 14 years old as a boxer, and it was my hobby. Right. And I did it because I loved it, and it's now hopefully becoming my job to fight. But still, you know, like I fought boxing back in, I think it was February or March. It was a charity show. The guy had been let down on a lot of fights. Right. A lot of people were pulled out like that all of a sudden, and it was for charity, and I was going anyway. And he said, "Oh, does anybody know any fighters?" And I said, "I'll fight boxing." And it was really good. Like, we went to 3 rounds, and it was a little bit of an exhibition match. Yeah. But we still hurt each other. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, we had 16-ounce gloves on, and it was fun, and it made me want to do boxing more. Really, you know what I mean? And Thai boxing. If I could support myself and train as hard as I do MMA, if I could train that hard financially, if I could train that hard in Thai, then I would fight a Thai just as much as MMA. Because, but the thing is, the money is just not there, because there's many reasons, but the money's just not there. So therefore, you get to a certain level in Thai, then to train that hard, then where do you get the money from? Like, you've got to be instructing full time to be able to keep the training up. You know what I mean?
Would you say that your ground game now has become just as second nature as your stand-up?
The ground game is a lot of people misunderstand BJJ within MMA. You know, you don't train BJJ because, as such, obviously you do, but you don't train it as BJJ because you've got strikes. So if you train BJJ and you're putting your arms here and you're getting it in the face, it's going to be a big shock, isn't it? So yeah, I mean, I train in wrestling, BJJ, a little bit of judo and stuff like that, but I try and train it mostly within MMA. So yeah, it's becoming second nature as MMA. Right. Is, you're saying, yeah. Do you know what I mean? As a whole game, rather than if I entered a BJJ competition like I did, it's not going to come as second nature, because I don't do BJJ. I do BJJ within MMA. It sounds a bit pretentious saying it like that, but you can't say, right, I'm going to take 6 months off and just train wrestling, or take 6 months off and just train BJJ, because it's not going to work, because you get hit in the face. Just the same as if it was the other way around and I needed to improve my stand-up. It's not worth me just training Thai for 6 months, because the stance is different, your movement is different, you're going to get taken down a lot more and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's all coming along. The whole game is, yeah.
You've beaten Peter Brown before as TKO through doctor's stoppage, right? Yeah. And your fight with Scott Stribling, you beat him with ground and pound knockout as well. That was after some very good BJJ action. Now, what are you going for in this fight against Darren now? Are you going for the knockout this time? You're going to put something in the highlight reel for us?
Who don't go for a knockout? Yeah. Who doesn't want a devastating submission or a devastating knockout? You know, that's what everybody goes for. But I mean, if you go for something, especially in fighting, I just think this is not going to happen. Do you know what I mean? I look at most fights. It's going to be a ground out win on points. You know what I mean? Work harder, train harder, work harder in the fight. You know, outwork someone, do more. throw more punches, do more submissions, trying to finish the fight more, and then if it comes, it comes. Do you know what I mean? It does come, but I think a lot of people go into fights looking for a knockout and they don't get it because they're loading up their shots and stuff like that. But I'd quite like a submission, to be honest with you. Really? Yeah, because it doesn't show the amount of work I've put into other aspects of MMA. If you look at my record, my 3 wins, my 3 pro wins have been TKO, 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 and that's not, you know.
Do you think that isn't as respected by fans in MMA? Do you think they want to see more technical action? Then is that what you're saying?
I just want my work to show. Do you know what I mean? If you build an house from a shell, and you say that's nice paintwork, it's not really representing all the work you've put into it. And I've put a lot of foundation work into everything else in my game, and I'd like that to be shown. It's no secret that I like a war.
Yeah.
And my trainers are always saying to me, well, why are you warring it up? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? Why don't you just be clever and do this? Because I love a war, you know, rightly or wrongly, or you know, people say, oh yeah, you get damaged in your old age and stuff. But you know, at the moment, I'm not thinking about that. I'm having fun. You know?
Now, before you become the Nightmare, and maybe you always were one, I don't know, but you started out with some powerlifting, was it powerlifting, strongman weight training?
Yeah, it was strongman competitions, yeah.
How did you find the transition then when you finally discovered Thai boxing, especially in terms of the cardio? Because always tall, heavy guys, I always like to find out just how they keep up their cardio so they don't blow out in the fight, because it's a lot of weight to push around.
Plyometrics.
Yeah?
Yeah, that was my secret. That was my key change in my game. I went from strongman. Well, I went from boxing to weight training to strongman, and everybody that I was surrounded by in strongman, my trainer and stuff like that, used to say, like, you do well because you're strong, but you're athletic, and you're quite explosive and quick, you know. Whereas a lot of strongmen are slow and sluggish and stuff, and that's the way they win. You know what I mean? But when I come out of strongman, I wasn't really doing much for about a year, other than like working really hard. You know, I've always had my own business for a long while, and drinking, smoking, going to the pub, and then, like, you know, eating pizza and stuff. And I wasn't really happy inside myself about that, you know what I mean? And a workmate said to me, well, come down Thai boxing. I said, do you have to wear like a suit and all that, and like, is it all like choppy moves and stuff in the air? And he said, no, like, it's proper fighting. Like, he showed me it on the internet, and I said, yeah, I'll have some of that. Went to Thai boxing, and it sort of grew from there. But like, going back to your question, if I started off, and for the first sort of 3 pro fights of my Thai, my first 3 pro Thai fights, I was out of breath, and you know, I knew I had to work on my game, and I started doing plyometrics, sprints and stuff like that, and my body shape changed, and my lungs definitely changed, and you know, everything, my cardio changed, you know, because you can go on all the 10-mile runs you want, but you're not doing a 10-mile run when you do 3 5-minute rounds. Right, yeah. Stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. You're doing sprints, aren't you? You're doing 5 minutes of sprints. You're not doing, you know, an hour of continuous exercise, the same speed, the heart rate stays the same, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Mike, what I'd like to know, I'm sure what your fans would like to know, is who or what inspired you to get into this training, to get into fighting in the first place?
I mean, I mentioned before about a friend of mine, my business partner, he'd done it for a long time, Thai boxing and that, but I started boxing when I was 14 years old, because it was an avenue to get rid of aggression. I'm an aggressive person by nature, you know what I mean? It's not going to say I'm going to swear at women and kids when I'm in the street, but it's just I'm quite fiery by nature. I always have been since I was a kid. I played rugby, and even when I was playing football, I was a goalkeeper, and I'd come out knees high, you know what I mean, and punching people in the face by accident, you know, and stuff like that. And you know, to not sound like a fuck, you know, I didn't go out looking for it or anything, but I had one of them faces because I was tall and gangly when I was younger. Everybody started on me. Yeah. When we went to the pub, everybody started on me, you know, for years. And even when I was like very big, when I was doing the strongman powerlifting, I was 20 stone. And I still had guys come up to me, punch me in the face for no reason. Gangs starting on me and stuff like that. And I wanted to change that, and I wanted to do something about it. And my granddad was a boxer in the army. He's always been my hero. He's very proud of me. He still comes to every one of my fights. 80 odd years old, and my dad, you know, very proud, and both of them are, you know, it's good to see your family are proud of you, you know, and your loved ones, you know, when you see your girlfriend and your family and your friends all like patting you on the back and stuff. That inspires me. It inspires me every day of my life. You know, when you're in the middle of a sprint training, when you're in the middle of a session, and you feel like giving up, you close your eyes and you think of them faces, and you think, no, like, I can't let them down. I can't get knocked out because I haven't trained hard enough. If you train as hard as you can, you get stopped or whatever, then there's nothing you can do about it. But if you can honestly turn around to them and say, sorry, I did my best, then that's it, isn't it? Yeah. That's the key.
What led to get into the octagon then?
Within a year of me doing Thai boxing down here, Adam Keddle was like, why don't you do MMA? I was like, might do. I don't know whether he sees something in me aggression wise or my strength or I don't know, but he was on me. And you know, I used to watch the BJJ at first, and I used to think it looks a bit gay, like. And then the more I watched it, I started thinking, God, like, he's quite technical, and you know, that was quite a good move, and things like that. And there's always that thing in me ever since I can remember, ever since I could talk. If someone says to me, "Don't do that," because it's dangerous, or I wouldn't do that if I was you, or I would never be able to do that, that's too brutal, then I'll go, oh, I'll do it. And when I mentioned to a few people back in the day, like, oh, I might start MMA, everyone was like, no, don't do that, you'll get cauliflower ears and you'll get hurt, and there's full of nasty men and stuff like that, and it just makes me think, I'll do it now. And more and more I did it, and the more and more sort of technical you realise it is. It's called mixed martial arts for a reason. It's not you know,
one side, one dimension.
Yeah, it's not a scrap in a pub car park. It's many different martial arts mixed into one. And what young boy doesn't want to be a martial arts expert? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And how did it change your life outside the training then? If you sound like you had
completely.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, completely changed my life. You know, I was. At one point in my life, I was drinking heavily, you know, and never really into drugs, but smoking, drinking heavily, and just sort of existing really. And there was always a spark inside me where I wanted to achieve, and it changed my life for the better. You know, I immediately stopped smoking when I started Thai boxing, and it inspired me to carry on with that. To keep away from it, I cut down the drink and cut down the drink, and then now it's non-existent in my life. I do drink, but not very often.
Socially. Right.
Yeah, socially, but like I don't drink sort of 8 to 10 weeks up to a fight.
Yeah.
And I don't love drink no more. You know, I wasn't an alcoholic as such, but there was a point where I loved drink.
Well, in this country, you have to drink quite a fair bit to become an alcoholic. I mean,
well, yeah, that's it, yeah. Especially the peers around you. But yeah, I mean, it changed my life. It made me more confident. What I mentioned earlier about people, you know, everybody comes into you in a pub and says to you, like, what are you looking at and stuff like that. That completely stopped, because I think you carry yourself different, your aura is different, your shoulders are back, your head's up. If someone stares at you, you don't look away, or you don't give them a minute looking back and start sort of spreading out like a peacock. You sort of go, you're all right, mate, like, because you're confident in who you are and what you can do. Not in a way that I'm the hardest man in the world, but you're confident. You think if trouble was to start now, then I'm sure I'll be able to deal with it. Whereas before, I may have thought, I've got to get in it first. If trouble starts, I don't know how I'm going to be able to deal with it, and I would have to, you know, strike first. But now,
likely to rise to it.
Yeah, and now I just sort of go, don't be silly.
It's the old thing of learning to fight, so you never have to fight. It's quite hard to even explain to someone unless they've gone through it.
Definitely, and I think now people see it in you. You know, if somebody gets mugged in the street, that person that unfortunately got mugged wasn't the first person that mugger looked at. That mugger's been looking at several people, 20 people, 50 people, and they've decided that is the person I'm going to mug. And it's a reason, the way they carry themselves, the way they put in their head, and the way they look back at the person. And whereas now, you know, if someone looks at me in a pub or in a menacing way, obviously it still happens. I just sort of go, please don't be silly, like, or you know, don't worry about that. Don't be going down that road. I say I'm not indestructible. I'm not going to stop a bullet or a knife, and I wouldn't want to try. But what I'm saying is, it makes you confident, and people sort of like see in you. Oh, maybe I better
not an easy cut.
Maybe I better not. Yeah, and people say, oh, you never get started on because you're massive, but I did. When I was bigger than this, I was.
Yeah, there's plenty of big guys all over the place.
That's it. Yeah.
Plenty of big guys as well.
Exactly.
Right now. We've learned a bit about your life outside the thing. Are there any particular other interests you've got, or little rituals, pre-fight rituals, superstitions you might have, or anything? Any little
hobbies-wise, I mean, I don't get time. I don't get time for anything really. Yeah. I like golf, but I don't do it enough.
Maybe when you're older.
Yeah, maybe when I'm older. And I'd like to play a musical instrument. I like music. I like live music. I love it. You know, I like the detail that goes into someone when you watch them play an instrument. How hard that must be to put all those things together. I do love live music, but what was the other bit you asked me?
Have you got any pre-fight rituals?
Oh, rituals, yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're not really rituals. I don't think I would be nervous or like my bottle wouldn't start going if they didn't happen.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not really a superstition, but I like to get a new CD for every fight. When I get my fight song, I left one with a DJ once, and I never got it back. I forgot the CD, and then it just next time I got a new one, and then I forgot it again just by chance, and then it just become a thing. And now I just even if I remember, even if I think, oh, I've got a CD, don't worry about it, and I just always get a new CD for my fight song. I don't know why I do that. It's not for luck or anything. It's just one of those things.
Part of the routine.
Yeah, and I love Nando's, especially after a weigh-in.
The amount of people that have told me they go to every weigh-in I go to, everyone's off to Nando's all the time.
I think it's got everything that you need, like. You know what I mean? But this is to my nutritionist, Solo Supplements, who sponsor me. He doesn't like me eating Nando's after a weigh-in, but he's made a compromise, and he said, well, if you can have this and this, and don't have so much of this. He don't mind it now.
Well,
but
what sort of stuff has he got you eating normally to keep you in?
Without giving too many of his secrets away. I mean, you know, if you want to go to him and he'll set you up a plan and stuff like that. He's an unbelievably intelligent person. I thought I knew about nutrition going into the strongman days and stuff like that, and I did a small qualification, a home study one, and then I met him, and he just blew my mind with some of the stuff he knows.
How would someone find him?
Solossupplements.co.uk, down in Maidstone. They're based in Maidstone, but they've got everything on their website and stuff like that. But I mean, he's got me eating a lot of healthy fats, a lot of healthy oils, and whereas before I would think I would stay away from that because like, you think fat equals fat, but it doesn't. You know, if you eat the right fats, it will make your body burn more fat.
Monounsaturates and polyunsaturates.
Yeah. And I knew about that, but leading up to a fight, I used to think, oh, I'll just cut out all the fat and just eat chicken and salad, like, you know. And he's got me eating a lot more specific greens, whereas before I used to eat like a salad cart, but now he like, no,
it was greens.
Yeah. And he says, no, eat these greens and stuff like that. And you know, he's got me eating before bed. And I never used to eat before bed. I always just think, like, stay away from that. And now I eat literally 15-20 minutes before I go to bed. I'll eat a certain meal to feed me and stuff like that, to feed my muscles and stuff like that. And it makes you burn fat and stuff like that. And I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to be an Adonis.
Yeah.
But I'm in better shape than I've ever been in. Yeah. You know what I mean?
What's your favourite martial arts movie? You got to have one.
I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, I begged my mum we used to go Blockbuster all the time, and I begged my mum to let me rent out Police Story with Jackie Chan. And then I got home and I found out it was in subtitles. But that was a good movie. And but I always liked the Karate Kids. Me and my brother used to watch them in the school holidays. We used to watch them over and over again on VHS. And Karate Kid 3. Me and my brother still do the Cobra Kai Never Dies. Yeah. So yeah, it's quite geeky, but you know, it's just funny. Yeah, it's just good little memory as a kid, thinking that you could be the kid that was getting bullied. And
I used to wear the the rising sun
bandana.
On our feet.
Even more geeky then.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was much more geeky. Now you've got quite a big presence on Facebook. There's always some interesting banter going on. The biggest thing is you come across humble and like a straight up guy, really. And the thing that is most predominant on your Facebook is your love for your missus. And I'd like to know is when you're going to marry her, mate.
We'll get married August the 30th.
You are getting what, this year?
Yeah, this year.
Oh,
yeah, it's all planned thanks to her.
Yeah. You're not getting married in an octagon, are you?
No, I don't think she'd have that. I don't think she'd let me take it that far. But I mean, someone said to her, when we got engaged, someone said to her, oh, you can't have a fight near the wedding then. And she said, oh, as long as you ain't fighting on the wedding day, you can have one day before or something. I said, what about the day after? She sort of like rolled her eyes. But yeah, I mean, yeah, we're getting married August the 30th.
Congratulations.
Thanks, mate. And I mean, she's planned it all. Well, 90% of it she's planned because I'm so busy with the fighting and working and stuff. And it, you know, wouldn't be happening without her. I mean, obviously it wouldn't be happening without her because I wouldn't have a bride. But I mean, in regards of, it wouldn't be happening on August the 30th this year. In the way it's gonna go off so well, I think. My mum and dad and some other family members of mine and hers have all helped her out. Her aunt and my mum and dad have helped us right out. So yeah, like it's good to have good people around you. You know, you got to be. I don't ever want to turn into a person that's not humble and not appreciative of what I've got. You know, there's a lot of people out there that always want more, and I try. You know, it's hard, but I try and have the philosophy in life. You know, there's always someone worse off, and it's corny in that, but I try and yeah, I try and appreciate what I've got every day. When I'm tired and stuff, and you're in pain and stuff, it's hard to do, but. Yeah, I do try every day to think, well, you know, look how well you're doing, and I think if you give thanks, you get more, you know.
Yeah. On that note, is there anything you'd like to say finally to your fans, people that support you, and most of all to your opponent that's coming up next Saturday on the 20th, fight scene 6?
To my fans and people that support me, thank you so much. Your support means the world to me, both financially and emotionally. I couldn't and wouldn't do it without the support I get, and even the people I don't know. You know, people come up to me and they say, you know, they say nice things. You know, there's a few people that say horrible things as well, but not to my face. But I mean, there's a few people out there that really helped me out, you know, and they was doing it before they was getting anything out of it. You know, Ray that does my tattoos, he started helping me through no asking of me, no asking from me. I never said like, do you want to sponsor me, or can you do that cheaper? He done it as a mate, and he started helping me out with my tattoos, like price wise, and he's a blinding tattooist as well. I would quite happily pay him double his rate. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, right? I won't broadcast that. Yeah, but I mean, he does some good work. Adam, he's another friend of mine from school. He works for Bates's Office Supplies, and through them, he's helped me out with like clothing and stuff like that. They've helped me out a little bit as well.
Who are all these people on your
Solo Supplements. That was through the tattooist as well. They had a shop opposite the tattooist, and Gary at Solo, like I've mentioned him, he's blinded. He's helped me out.
This one, Flaming.
And this is Flaming Art Tattoo. Yeah. Nemesis Gym, obviously I've mentioned him as well. That they've helped me out. Not just because I work there, but because they're nice people and because they want to help me out. Not because, oh, they'll get this out of it, they'll get out of it. I think they helped me out because they wanted to help me out, you know what I mean? And then Alan Keddle always helped me out, and Mick at Titan has helped me out as well. And I'm also represented by Elite MMA agency now, Mick, Chris Figg. He's been with me a very short while, like he's represented me a short while, and he's already, you know, he turns a few cogs. I'm a control freak.
Yeah.
And he does his head in. He says, "Leave it to me," and but every time I do leave it to him, he still comes up trumps. I still think, yeah, like that's what I wanted to hear, you know. Everybody I mentioned earlier on, training wise, and more. If I've forgotten you, I'm very sorry. But like I said, I've said previously, it's hard it's good that I've got so many people to thank. It's good that I'm forgetting people because it means I've got a lot of people helping me, you know. And to my opponent, you know, we'll get in there, we'll have a good fight. I'm not into trash talking. If he wants to trash talk, then trash talk we won't, because at the end of the day, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change up here for me, and nothing's going to change what's going to happen in the cage. If he can trash talk and say he's going to do this and he's going to do that, if he does do it, then he would have done it anyway. Yeah. But it won't affect my mentality. But I guarantee you'll always get a good fight out of me. You know what I mean? No matter what people say, you know.
Well, mate, I'm going to be at the weigh-ins on Friday as well. That's in Brentwood in Essex, fight scene 6. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for having me down here at Keddle's Gym.